So the National Road Safety Authority has had that engagement. In fact, just yesterday, that deliberation happened, and we have that stakeholders engagement on road safety with details. Now, part of those details reveal that there are some interesting developments, positive developments, a decline in the fatalities as a result of crashes. This morning, we tried to address the issue, find out about what is going well, what still needs to be done, what the way forward is, and how we can sustain these gains. Joining us for starters for the conversation, we have Cyril Crabbe, Mr. Cyril Crabbe, and of course, he is CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. He joins us for the conversation. In fact, he's been playing hide and seek with me for a while now. I've not got to interact with him for quite a while. Mr. Crabbe, a very good morning to you. You would have to unmute, Mr. Crabbe. Okay, so we'll try to work out the connection with Cyril Crabbe, who is CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. I see him working that out. But we're just going to walk through what exactly the NRSA, or the National Road Safety Authority, has been telling us in recent times about the recent gains we've been making. That report on the first quarter. And there are some takeaways from their gathering, their meeting that we're going to be sharing with you as well. Cyril, I can hear you now, loud and clear. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you too for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Is it tiredness? You sound a little, I wouldn't say winded.
Oh, well, I'm okay. Strong and healthy as usual.
Okay. What do you make of this latest development as, evinced, or we can glean from the latest road safety situational report by the NRSA? There are pluses and minuses, but one thing we can celebrate is that over the years, we seem to have, I think since 2021, thereabouts, we've been declining in terms of crashes. And again, there's been a decline now in terms of the casualties as a result of crashes, I should say. But what would you say summarily is where we are now when it comes to the road safety situation in our country?
Thank you so much. Very good. Very, very good. I was at the program yesterday, listened to all the speakers and all the reports, and I think we're doing very well as compared to the number of vehicles that we have, as well as the other countries. Okay, we're doing quite well.
On the number of vehicles, very quickly, I remember a conversation with you where you said we had about, was it 3 million?
Yes. I can't confirm, but then of course we are around 3 million, 3.5 vehicles in the country. But again, I'm saying we're doing well. And I'll say kudos to the National Road Safety Authority for the bold initiative to get all the stakeholders involved in this wonderful program. I'll say it shouldn't end there, at least for every quarter, because we are dealing with human lives. And just like we all know, transporting goods and services in this country amounts to, I'll say, about over 90%. And then if that's on the road, right? So if we are doing road transportation, then we need to come together as one people and discuss it at least every 3 months and know the way forward in terms of reducing the carnage on our roads. So kudos to National Road Safety Authority. It was really a wonderful program, and all stakeholders were there.
Thank you for those initial comments. Let me also take those of Rev Cyril Crabbe, President, Accident Victims. Rev, a very good morning to you. All right, so we'll try to get back to Reverend Crabbe. Now, if you look at the global situation, according to a model by the World Health Organization, you would look at the road traffic injury fatality rate per 100,000 population, and you would see where it stands globally at 18.2. You come to Africa and it is 26.6, but when you come to Ghana, we're just beneath that, 24.9. So it would appear that for every 100,000 head count, we're faring pretty well. At least, I wouldn't say well, but at least we're just around the average mark. But then you look at the regional situation as well. Fatality rates, that is deaths per 10,000 vehicles recorded in selected African countries. In 2018, of course, it's a good 5 years away, but it gives us a reflection. You would look at Morocco, Eswatini, which was formerly Swaziland, and look at all the countries in between, and you see a figure as high as 75.4 for Uganda. Again, on this list, we don't fare that badly. What would you say, Cecil, accounts for these gains that we seem to have chalked? Because, like I said, over the last 3 years at least, when you look at the data, I think it was about 2 years ago, we were talking a lot about the carnage on our roads. Then it started getting better. How did we get to this point? What have you seen in between?
Well, I know for sure that the National Road Safety Authority came up with a strategy 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4. And if you study the reports very well, I would say that it's a collective effort from all Ghanaians, including drivers, pedestrians. I mean, all of us are involved. It's just not one man's decision, but the initiative with the National Road Safety Authority has been very good. I mean, I see it as a new National Road Safety Authority led by Engineer David Adonting. And if I look around and I go to the office, I see everybody is involved. I mean, right from scratch. Look at this Easter, for instance. We had the whole team of the National Road Safety Authority on the major roads leading to I'll say enjoyment, those going to Kowu, going to Mwasi, and so on, right? We had a wonderful team of policemen, DVLA officials, and other stakeholders, all trying to just slow down issues on speed and then dealing with other recalcitrant drivers. I know some of them are going to court. Other big men were also arrested for flouting the road regulations. This is what we want. But then in general, we are brother's keeper. That is what must be the topic for discussion, that all of us are involved. When we talk about road crashes, it is not only one person. It is not the police. It is not the National Road Safety Authority. It is not GPRTU and all those unions. We are all involved in this situation. We need a lot more of education, and I'll say education has done the trick. For now, as well as involvement of the enforcement agencies have done the trick. We need to get it lower than that. After all, just like I said earlier on, we transport goods and services by road and not by air or sea transport, right? Maximum is by road. And if it's by road, we need good roads. We need to see more good roads. We need to drive in a speed, in a way and manner to save lives and save the property that we have, which is the vehicle. But then the human lives are very important. And I will also say a very good thank you to Multimedia for the initiative on your road safety program, which I have been involved. It is all good. We should continue. We shouldn't leave it for one person, and all of us must be involved to reduce the carnage on our road, because we need all of us alive in one piece and not in pieces, my brother.
Do we have Rev back, Reverend Crabbe? All right, so we do not have him yet. I'll move on then with you, Cyril. Cecil, I beg your pardon. Now, if you look at the component of the countries across Africa, from Mauritius, that has a score of about, 3.4, to Uganda, which is in the high 70s, in fact, 75.5. Then you look at Ghana, 30.4. In fact, the figure we gave earlier was not even reflective of the 2018 figure, which was 34. I believe that has also declined. But whether it is 34 or 24, closer to where we are now, what does that really mean? Out of every 10,000 crashes, with these numbers being lost by way of casualties?
Well, this is a calculation that gives that report for us to know that out of the vehicle population, which every country holds, it is done by 10,000. Out of the 10,000, we are not faring bad at all in terms of carnage on the roads. Now, this is a 2018 report. I guess when the 2022 report is released, we will come down to a level like Mauritius. I am very sure, because we are all working to reduce the carnage on the road.
Cecil, please repeat that. You're saying that by when you're expecting that we'll get to the levels of Mauritius. Just clarify that.
I am saying the 2022 report will be looking very, very good, because we are all involved now. It is not only one person. This report is done, I think, every 2-3 years. So let's see what happens. But we are not going to wait for reports to come out. We need to all work as a team to reduce the carnage on our roads. And then mostly it's all by speed. If we're all reducing our speed. And then yesterday I was really much touched with the reports from the General Secretary of the GPRTU. Okay, and I can assure you that on their level, they are doing all the checks and balances to make sure that the drivers that they have conform with all road safety measures before they make any trip. Because if you look at buses in this country, they carry a lot more of people than individual vehicles. So we are getting there, and we'll be there. The aim is to get to a minimum figure. Okay, we can't get to zero. We can only get to zero when everything is in place. But then road crashes is reducing. That's the good news in this country.
Even just this morning, and it was interesting because around the police training school here close to us in Tesano, I noticed that 3 vehicles, an old Benz vehicle, another vehicle, and a bus had some sort of collision just this morning. So it's interesting, even as we try to, but I don't think there were any fatalities. But if you look at the summary of the road traffic crash situation, the first quarter of 2023 put side by side with the first quarter of 2022, you would realize that in terms of cases reported, there's been a decline, and that could be plus or minus. And again, it could also be that there are fewer cases being reported, because we know that while it is illegal, some people would be involved in a crash and there would be no report because they want to find a way of resolving their own issues. So 3,340 cases in the first quarter 2023 versus 3,932 in the first quarter of 2022. Then the vehicles involved, another sharp decline there from 6,587 in 2022 to 5,722 in 2023. Persons killed also dropping by almost 200. In fact, so that's about 190. From 734 in the first quarter of 2022 to 544 in the first quarter of 2023. Same as far as persons injured, 4,000 plus to 3,697. And then pedestrian knockdowns, again, decreasing from 712 to 606. When you look at the differences, here's what it means. In terms of cases reported, they dipped by over 15%. In terms of the vehicles involved, they dipped by over 13%. In terms of the persons killed, it fell by about 25%. Injuries, it fell by over 8%, and pedestrian knockdowns fell by about 14%. Does that feed into the picture of why you feel in the next report that we're going to get, our statistics are going to be even better?
That is exactly so. And you would realize that there's a sudden change, which means that, and I always preach this news, that road safety is not about sitting in the office and then giving instructions. But here we are. It's a big change. And honestly speaking, I am really, really happy with Engineer Adontin. Okay, that, look, they don't sit in the office any longer. You know, I have complained in the past that road safety is not about sitting in the office. They are there. They are always on the move to make sure that ever since it was turned into an authority, they work with the Ghana police, they work with other stakeholders and make sure that the right thing is being done. Right, and then you know the situation that we have in this country, that if the law enforcers are there, people behave. It is not only so now. We can see people behaving differently now. Nobody wants to be arrested by the police. Everybody wants to do the right thing. So doing the right thing is to save the situation. That's why we're seeing a lot more of figures coming down compared to last year, last 2 years. So it is really good news. Let's say kudos to the team again. I'll forever say that they are really working. But remember, they need that logistics. I always say they need more vehicles. They need all breathalyzers. And then yesterday at the function, I think
how many of those do we have in the system? Come to think of it, I rarely see breathalyzers being used.
Well, there are very few. Honestly speaking, I must say so. Right after talking to National Road Safety Authority, I realized that they need a lot more of logistics than whatever we think of. Okay, vehicles to move. That is number one. Some of us are even helping them for that purpose, for them to have that movement. I mean, that should be so. So we should look at the national system to say that the Ministry of Transportation must have a big eye for the National Road Safety Authority to give them what they need to work, because after all, we all sit in vehicles and go to work in this country. Nobody goes by air, nobody goes by sea, it is all by road transport, and we need to support them to their work well. They are doing very well. That's what I'll say for now.
Thank you. Just hold for me, Cecil. Let me bring in Cyril Crabbe, Reverend Cyril Crabbe. He is president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana, or Accident Victims Support Ghana. Reverend, thank you so much for joining the conversation. And I would like to kickstart the conversation from your end by having you tell us a little bit about your outfit, what exactly you do. The name is clear enough, but I'm sure not too many people get to hear of what you do. Tell us a bit about that, and then we'll get into why you think the latest statistics are showing what they are, evincing that there are continuous declines in road crash numbers, in fatality numbers, in reporting numbers as well. It's looking pretty good for us, isn't it?
Very good, and thank you very much for having me. Let me say kudos to the good work you are doing. Drive safe. You are doing very well, and I commend you for that. You keep it up. Let me also greet the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Adontin, for the good work he's doing. Yeah, so our outfit, we give voluntary service to crash victims in the area of when they are hospitalized. We make sure we defray the cost of their hospital expenses. We give them counseling, and also when they are discharged, we see how best we can reintegrate them back into society. Basically, dealing with trauma issues. And then at the end, we also try to direct them through the processes of compensations and insurance claims. And so that's what we do, if I should say. Secondly, I've been listening to the conversation, and trust me, it's very interesting. Let me greet my senior brother, Cecil. He was at the program yesterday. We couldn't talk yesterday, but it was very interesting, the presentations that came there, and from all of the stakeholders that were present there. I believe that one way or another, we were all excited at what we saw, and the tail end at the way the chairman, who was the board chair of the National Road Safety Authority, presented and summarized.
Hello, Reverend Crabbe?
Especially telling crashes in our country. If you ask where I sit, continuously for the past 5 years, we see injured victims at the end of the year, sometimes over 12,000, sometimes over 14,000, sometimes over 15,000. To end up at a place where, it becomes very, very difficult for them, to get medication.
Well, Reverend Crabbe, we appear to lose you. We appear to lose you intermittently. I don't know what is happening. So it's impacting the free flow of the conversation. I don't know whether you could move a little so we can have better connectivity, because right now we lose you every now and then.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. If you could just go back by a little and rehash what you've been saying, I'd be grateful.
So where I am right now, is it okay for you?
Please go ahead, Reverend Crabbe.
Yes. So let me just go straight to what probably has precipitated this decline, and we are where we are today. The deaths at a point in time became too much. And I believe that the National Road Safety, receiving continuous bash or backlashes, have to step up their game. And as my senior brother said, the National Road Safety now with
I think we'll try to
office, but to check the. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there's something obviously problematic with the connection. So just hold for us. We'll try to see what we can do about working that out. But let me go to Cecil now. Cecil, you also look at the interesting dynamics when it comes to pedestrian knockdowns. In fact, earlier I saw in this this report, when it comes to the vehicle types involved in accidents, and you look at the national situation, Cecil, you would see that for buses or minibuses, in 2011, it stood at 30.7%, which moved to third in 2020, that's 16.3%. Then we had, by end of year 2020, the motorcycles taking over 26.9%, and that was a third in they were third in 2011. So finally, you look at the remarks there, it appears that motorcycle fatalities or crashes have overtaken minibuses and have moved from third to first with an increase of 10.3%. I just want us to stay there for a bit, because we've been talking about motorcycle crashes every now and then. In the last few years, they've become pretty prevalent, causing a lot of problems. What is the situational report on that, at least from what you gather? Hello, Cecil? Hello, Cecil?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, all right. So I am saying that it is a big problem, not only in Ghana, everywhere. And let me use the word Okada, is the Okada system. What I can see is that a lot of pillion riders have noticed that, yes, if you sit on the Okada, they are going to die. However, a lot also of the riders are now courier riders. But the riding is still the same in the term that we see, that they don't care about traffic lights, they don't care about the way they ride. So figures will continuously go up. We have a lot more of bikes that are not also registered in this country. And then I am advocating that DVLA must look at how we can go ahead, not to seize the bikes, but the entry point in this country, okay? If it could be sort of registered from when they are entering the country, or there should be a control, there should be some mechanism, right? I am doing a report on that aspect, and when it is ready, I'll send a copy to you on motorcycles, what we really need to do. But we need to keep an eye on them, because most of them are really, really quite a nuisance. They are recalcitrant, they don't care about their lives. And then those few people that are pillion riders are also risking their lives. Okay, if you visit general hospitals like Police Hospital, Kolebo, on daily basis, there are very serious accidents from motorbike riding in this country. So something must be done. I mean, that is also a big challenge that we need to look at as National Road Safety is going ahead with this strategy for.
And you look again, I mean, apart from the motorcycle bit from 2021, you look at the peak hours, and it appears it's that time when most people are shuttling from work back home, 6 to 8 p.m. So it tells a lot about where we should be focusing. And again, if you look at some of the other reports, you would notice that around March, April, when people are going to celebrate Easter, yes, people are traveling to other parts of the country, you would see a spike in the numbers as well. There is a concern when it comes to the age dynamics. Per the 2021 report, ages of persons killed in crashes, you look at the 26 to 35 group, and it is 29.9%. And that again, when you look at end of year 2020, it was 29.4%. So we're hovering just about minus 0.5 year on year. But here's the interesting development, because when you go a bit lower, you would see the age stratification. I just saw that. I want to get to it. If you look at 2023, January to March, the ratio is 1:6. 18-year-olds and above, one portion, and those below 18 years. Those below 18 years are actually 1/6, and then those above 18 years taking the rest of that population. What does this mean? Because the young people are the lifeblood of our country, and it appears a lot of them, if 1/6 of these are below the age of 18, we'll have to look at, we don't have the full figures in terms of how many casualties fell into that category and all of that. But this definitely is problematic, isn't it, from that standpoint?
Yes, it is really problematic. The issue is that many more young people die in this country because, well, I'll say they don't really care about themselves. I'm talking about the youth in this country, right? So, and that is a productive age. A productive age for every country is between 25, I'll say even 20 years to 40 years. And if such people are dying, then it means we are losing it. So we need them alive. We need more education. We need to bring them back. Most of them, I'm telling you this not in confidence, that most of them are on drugs. And of course, when you're on drugs, you do everything that you can do in terms of riding motorbikes, in terms of driving. So education and enforcement is what we need in this country for us to have a success in numbers coming down in road traffic accidents.
The regional distribution also shows some decline in some regions and an appreciation, an increment in other regions. Generally, though, there is more of a decline with only the Northeast OT, Western and Upper East regions noting some sort of increment. But to wrap off the conversation, there's also been that note made of traffic lights that are faulty. Recently, we went out into town and we had quite a conversation on that. What then would be the way forward? One, how do we sustain the gains? And on the bit about traffic lights, what would you say we should be doing? The last time we went around, and even right here, very close to our outfit here in Kokomlimli, there was one that was not functioning. What do we do about that, as that is part of the problem?
Yes, traffic light is a major issue. Like we see, repair and maintenance has become, I'll say, hell, right? Something needs to be done as soon as possible. I know, I can't say it, but there's a whole fight between the companies involved in repair and maintenance as well as the government, but it all comes back to the same issue of money. And this must be sorted out from the Ministry of Transport as well as the companies involved, such as traffic and signals and so on and so forth. Right? We have the men. Let them work. Pay them. Let them do all the repair works. Okay. Some are underground problems. Some, I think we did a program last week, and we have the general public. We have other issues like people vandalizing the traffic lights, people stealing cables and so on from the traffic light. So it is a major concern, and then we need an enforcement. We need also the Ministry of Transportation to wake up. They should wake up. Department of Urban Roads, everything comes to you. Traffic lights must work. Traffic lights support all of us at intersections, okay? And then if they are not working, then we should expect more accidents. And I know National Road Safety Authority has said what I'm saying, that we need to pick up our game let us solve the issues on the traffic lights. It is becoming unbecoming. It is very serious. We have other places that the traffic lights are not really working, and then we have traffic on the increase. The biggest that I can see is the favorite of Benis, your reporter. That is at Aoshi. I have been there. I've seen what is happening. Traffic lights are not working. As well as Shiashi. These are two major areas, and every day accidents do occur. We shouldn't also rely on the police to say that we need a police every now and then to be there to control the situation. If there's money, pay the people. If we need to dig the ground, we should dig the ground before many more lives are lost. That is what we need to do in this country. We shouldn't wait, and those of our ministers and so on that are flying in motorcades are not seeing it. That's the question. Please go and ask them. They should provide the right means to solve this problem.
Cecil, we're grateful. We know you're very busy and you've taken the time to join us this morning. We're grateful for your time, and kudos to you for the work you keep doing now that you say we are all involved and you're assisting the authorities as well. We're grateful for your time this morning, Cecil Crabbe.
You're most welcome.
And Cecil, of course, is a CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. We finally have Rev Cyril Crabbe, and thank you for staying for so long. We have limited time, so I would ask you to give us your global view of what this report evinces, this latest report by the National Road Safety Authority for the first quarter, and how you think we can sustain the gains, Rev Crabbe.
All right. Thank you very much, and very sorry for the challenges we had before. We finally here. Now, I believe globally, Ghana is not doing bad. I heard you asking question about it, you know, with what the statistics you have. Globally, we are not doing bad at all. I believe we are doing our best, very, very best, frantic best. And like Cecil said, we say kudos to the National Road Safety Authority for stepping up their game. The strategies that they have currently in place are really, really going to help to continuously see declines in the CIDs. You know, one life lost is one too many. And we have to indeed step up in what we are doing. In fact, like he said before he ended, and like you also rightly said before you cut him, Cecil, Ghanaians must take road safety as a priority. And I say this every day, every time, anywhere I get opportunity. We are a country that it looks as if we don't prioritize road safety. A country where you spot a particular location and you try to do an intervention to save lives like an overhead, and the people within the country says, no, we don't want it. You do a zebra crossing at a place where you know students must cross to save their lives. They say no. You compel schools, underage schools, and you tell them this is the safest way to transport students to school, and this is a standardized vehicle you should use. And you see schools proprietors using rickety cars to take students. We don't have road furniture at areas where there are schools. And so at the end of the day, I heard you even saying that underage children under the age of 18, we keep on seeing them also of Okada, like he rightly said, as if their life is not their own, as if they want to die today. They are not mindful of their lives, you know, and it becomes problematic when you are an advocate for these things. You know, above all, the police it cannot be there. And yesterday we heard the police saying that they are going to bring out, you know, cameras that they are going to use, and so they are always not going to be, you know, visible on the road. It is good, but I think at the end of the day, the entire country, National Road Safety is not resourceful, like he said, with very low funding. They are trying to do their best, and we must take it as a priority as a country. Where I sit, when I go and see a victim who cries and now curses the land, no victim blesses the land, but curses the land and call for their ancestors to come for their aid. I think we shouldn't get there at all. before I even say in my last word, look at the children that were involved in the crash over there. We've not tried to give them some kind of counseling to bring them out of the trauma. They are traumatized. As I talk to you now, I've been speaking to some of them, and in the past, we've had, let's say, 2 years and 1.5 years ago. If you permit me, I'll bring one of the students. We have to change the school right there and then, because after today, she cannot even get near to that road. She's not traveled to that road again. She has met out in her leg. She's called Beverly. She's now at Nongwa Secondary School. So it's a threat on that road. And I think 66 years, the Cape Coast Road must be fixed. And not only that one. We must prioritize not only our roads, but the users of the road, especially students. And for that matter, especially the Cape Coast Road. We have students traveling on it all the time. Should we continue to have them die all the time? Arguably, state transport, STC, is the best transport ever. And we already know what accounted to this. That is not to say that we'll never go through them again. Arguably, is one of the best, safest transport we have in the country. But then again, if we can expand, enlarge the roads a bit, or do it a dual carriage, I want to take it as my singular campaign to continuously speak on the media so we can fix that road. It's a death trap. And mind you, it serves not only Ghana, but entire West Africa. So we need to at least take road safety as a priority and invest in it. Government must invest in it. Look, we are proud enough to have Engineer Dontin and the previous engineers who have been in charge of the National Road Safety Authority. Let me say good morning to the immediate past Director General, Engineer May Obriyebua, who did her best to hold the fort. Now Engineer Dontin has come. He's doing his best. Can we give them the support? Can we give them the push, the needed funding, to push these things? Because families and potentials of this country who could be also engineers to help the future are dying. And we can't continue to lose them. Yes, right. We are seeing decline, yet one life lost is one too many. And we deserve to live in this country, not allow road crashes to end our lives.
Reverend, you couldn't have said it any better. That passionate plea for funding support. Rev Cyril Crabbe is president of the Accident Victim Support Ghana. He joined the conversation as well. Of course, earlier we had Cecil Gabra, CEO, Top Tech Transport and Logistics. We take a break at this point, and when we return, well, two major conversations we're going to be having. The other one on the last leg would be on the NDC's front, as Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, who hopes to be the flag bearer of the party, is saying if he gets the nod and becomes president, schools under trees will be eradicated. But when we return, it'll all be the talk about the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. They're marking 60 years of existence. What do they have to share with us? How have they got to this monumental feat? And what is the way forward for them? All that chatter right after the break.